What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers Weekly Tech Podcast. This is episode 419, and our podcast is brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something that gives us a little kickback and keeps the podcast ongoing. With me is my co-host, Ryan. What's going on?
Not much. Good to see you. We had a week off in between.
We had a week off, yeah.
I think you were pumped up to podcast and like stream tonight because you messaged me like, I don't know, earlier this afternoon, like in all caps, you ready to podcast? And then I kept along with it. So
yeah, ready to go. I'm ready, man. It's we haven't podcast. Last week was my birthday, so you decided to we decided
what did I have? I had something going on. What did I have?
Yeah, you had something. That's why we didn't podcast. I was planning on podcast.
Oh, I had to work. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Thursday. Yeah, I ended up going into work at like 8:00 and got home at like 12:30. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're back. There's a lot going on. Really cool, some really cool releases, some pretty interesting news. We have 3 awesome reviews. I have 2 of the products sitting in front of me that we're going to be talking about. So there's just a lot going on, which is a lot of fun. So we do have our full show notes page up that is going to have everything that we're going to be talking about this week. So if you did want to go ahead and follow along, everything is linked there. Or if you are listening later, and you hear us talk about something and you want to know, what was that thing they were talking about? You can reference it right here on our show notes page. It has everything that we're going to be talking about, and you can just go ahead and click through. So as I said, one of the products is sitting in front of me, and it's quite big sitting in front of me. It's a 49-inch OLED monitor that I've been using for a little while now, and I am absolutely I love this thing. Moving to an OLED is a big.
It's got to be good.
It's so good, and some things you don't realize. So, every time we do the podcast, we've done the podcast for a very long time. On this side of the screen, like right below my camera, I have Ryan. I can see myself. And when we were before the show, I said, wow, we look so good. There's just certain
relatively speaking, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? So I always look at this side of the screen, and the clarity is just so much better on this OLED. It's kind of crazy, actually, because I was like, wait, I didn't change my camera settings. Like everything's still the same, but it just looks so much better. And again, mainly I'm doing work on this, so I don't notice it all that much. But it's
well, and you're someone that's in front of that monitor all the time, right? Or a lot of the time, right? It's not like, because this is your job, right? It's like you go somewhere else and you are using different screens, and then you only use that one to game or leisure. Like you're in front of this all the time, so so it's important to have a good monitor.
And we will talk about that, because a lot of people have said that they can't use an OLED for productivity work and a lot of other things. So the monitor that we're talking about was sent over from Gigabyte. It's their AORUS CO49DQ. It is a QD-OLED. Pretty much everybody's using this QD-OLED panel. As you can see, it's massive. I mean, this thing's 49-inch. It has a 144 hertz refresh rate, dual QHD resolution. So this is going to be 5120 by 1440. So awesome for productivity. Now, I was already using a 49-inch monitor. I've just upgraded to an OLED. I went from 120 hertz to 144 hertz. I went from just like a normal sort of monitor to an OLED too. This has display HDR True Black 400 in it. It has a built-in KVM. It has a lot of the other cool features that a lot of people, not just gamers, just normal people as well, will really appreciate. And Old Man's in the chat. He said that's a wide monitor. Yeah, I honestly don't think I could go any smaller now that I've used the 49 for so long. It's been,
yeah, you've had one for years.
For at least 3 years, I think I've been on the 49. And for me, for productivity work, which is like most of the time I'm sitting here, it's productivity work. And this essentially allows me to do 3 screens. That's the whole reason I have the 49. Now, upgrading to an OLED has been a great overall experience. This one specifically has a, what's the curve on this? This is an 1800R curve, which I do believe a curve is pretty, you should have it on a big screen like this, because if it's curved, you're not moving your head as much. Now, this isn't such a drastic curve like you see with some of the Samsung monitors that are 1000R curve, but a 1800R curve is good. I still do move my head from side to side. Sure. It doesn't, I've been doing it for so long, it doesn't necessarily bother me, but it may bother some other people. As far as connections go on here, you're getting 1 display port, you're getting 2 HDMI, you're also getting a USB Type-C that does support alternate mode. So if you did have a laptop, you can essentially do 1 cable to the monitor. It's going to display the monitor. It's going to display what's on your laptop. So you don't have to get like a dongle or anything else. You also see we do have a built-in USB hub as well. So again, you can connect that USB and then you can have like a keyboard and mouse connected to this. And then you don't really need, again, dongles or docking stations or anything like that, which is really, really nice. So those are the connections that you do get. I'm sure you guys just want to see what this thing looks like when we turn it on. I actually put it on a new monitor arm that I got. So that's kind of what it looks like. That's like full height. But it goes on the monitor arm, no problem. And this is actually pretty light for an OLED. A lot of the like first generation OLEDs had like big heat sinks inside to keep it cool. Sure. So like it wouldn't overheat. This is actually pretty light for a 49-inch monitor. So I was really surprised about that. The only thing that I do kind of notice a little bit is, so the display connections are like over here and then the power is over here. And because it's so far spread out, like this would happen also if you just had the stand on it, is that the cables, even if you I tried to route them as best I could, like you still can see them a little bit. I wish there was some sort of cable management on the back of the monitor to kind of clean things up just a little bit. It's obviously not a deal breaker, but it is there. As I said, I do the triple display here. So essentially having 3 monitors in one, for me, this is like ultimate productivity. It is the best thing for me about having a 49-inch is this type of productivity. It's just excellent. And then obviously, we edit video, you're doing other kind of creative work. Having that long, big screen is awesome for your timeline, especially if you're doing video editing. But if you're doing designing, all this stuff, you have so much more room to work with. And it's amazing. So that's another thing. And again, that's going to be on any 49-inch monitor. The menu system here is pretty good. It's not super clunky like a lot of other ones. They do have software, but the thing I don't like about this software, and Gigabyte was one of the first to give us sort of software for the monitor that would change settings so you don't have to click through on the monitor itself. Not all the monitor settings are in the software, which I'm not a fan of. Some are, but not all of them. So not the biggest fan. And it kind of seems like this is a little dated for what it is. If you are wondering about how you control the OSD, like what you see here, there's just a joystick in the center of the monitor. I love the joystick.
Yeah.
Like having 4 or 5 buttons is just super annoying. So they do have the joystick there. So I do really like that too. You know, and then of course, this is an OLED. It does have OLED care, which I did cover in my previous Gigabyte AORUS monitor. But it's all within the monitor itself. It's really easy to bring this up. It does a lot of things by default on here. You know, it will, if I'm not doing anything, it actually dims the display to 20% of the brightness to help with burn-in. It does do this pixel shift. I didn't notice it on the smaller monitor. So this actually nudges the display. I actually noticed it on this monitor.
Oh, really? I wonder if it's because it's the OLED. Like you just.
Oh, I know. On the other OLED, I didn't notice.
Oh, I got. Okay.
Big of a monitor, I do notice it, which is weird. But it has all these features as part of their OLED care. They also do back this up with a 3-year warranty that does cover burn-in. So again, if you do get any burn-in, it is covered under that 3-year warranty. So you're good there. This monitor does have the tactical features. It didn't have that that zoom in feature that we talked about on the other OLED. But
yep, I remember that.
The only one that I think is really useful on this monitor is the built-in crosshair. So you can put a crosshair on the screen. That does help with some things, but everything else I didn't think was all that useful. Now, as far as gaming goes, this is going to be a very immersive experience. Here's me playing Helldivers. It's such an awesome experience. Now, I do feel like a 49-inch is really, really made for third person or racing games. So like a racing game is going to give you, or like a sim game is going to give you a really more immersive experience. I honestly don't think for FPS you should be playing at this full, because you're going to be moving your head and that's just lower reaction time, in my opinion. This is how I play FPS on it. I put the game in the middle, and typically I have like these blacked out or something, but that's how I play FPS. For me, 144 hertz is still going to be good for me. I'm not an insanely serious gamer, but when I do want to game, I can game at 144 hertz. And then talking about OLED, like the picture is just so rich, and you have to experience it to really appreciate it. But just everything just looks better. Whether again, like if the shadows and the textures like on the gun, and everything just looks better. It's going to give you that better experience. Now, it's not only going to be translate into games, but also when you're viewing content, it's just going to look better. Your blacks are going to be like a true black. You're not going to get any of that backlighting from the monitor or anything like that. So it's going to be a really, really great experience, not only for gaming, but also for, viewing content and things like that. Now, one of the biggest things is that on OLEDs, people talk about pixel density. They talk about getting headaches when you're doing productivity work. And for me, the first day I used this monitor, I thought it was weird. Everything just kind of looked like a little dim, I could say. Like it didn't seem bright, even though this monitor does get very bright. It took about a day to get used to. I don't notice any of the red fringing around text. I don't get any headaches or anything like that. Like I said, I've been using this as my daily driver. And I do a lot of like work where, I'm on the screen here. I'm viewing content. I'm writing reviews. I'm reading emails. I'm doing all this stuff. So I'm on this as a more productivity thing. And for me, I don't have any of those issues. Other reviewers have had that issue. I don't know if my eyes are different or anything like that. Cause that was the thing I was worried about, because I was planning to make this my daily driver. And, yeah, that's definitely something to worry about, but at least for me, I don't have that issue. So again, something to definitely consider when you're buying a monitor. I think with anything, wherever you get this monitor, just make sure you have a good return policy. If it's from Best Buy, I don't know what they do. I think it's 30 days. Amazon, probably the same thing. But because again, if you can't use it, it's not going to be any use to you, obviously.
Sure,
so, it's not something you can sit down at the store and be like, oh, I have a headache. Like it's something you have to use over days to see either if it happens and it subsides over time, or it doesn't happen at all, or, you know, you just want to make sure. But again, for me, didn't have that issue. I really, really like this monitor. Like I said, it's staying here. It's going to be my go-to monitor. The only things that I didn't necessarily like, I really wish that the software had all of the functions that I get when I bring up the OSD menu. It just seems like they're behind on that, and that does happen when it comes to software.
You'd almost think it'd be opposite, like giving you deeper control with the software, right?
Yeah.
But guess not.
Also, again, those cables, you can even see it in this. Let me bring this back up. Like you can see it in the photo, but like,
yeah, they just kind of hang down, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit. I just wish there was some cable management back there on the back side of the monitor just to clean things up a little bit. But like I said, this monitor, the best thing you're going to get about this monitor is the richness and clarity of the image. That's the best thing. But again, the built-in sort of KVM is really cool with that Type-C. That Type-C also does 18 watts power delivery too. So if you just wanted to charge your phone, you can fast charge your phone from your monitor. The built-in hub or KVM too is great. Yeah, like I said, I really like the monitor. So I gave it a 9 out of 10 and recommended award. If you're wondering about price, it's $899 for a 49-inch OLED, QD-OLED. Decent price. We were paying around this price a couple years ago just for a normal 49. So getting the OLED, and I think 144 hertz too is a good kind of metric, because if you're playing games, there are 240 hertz 49-inch OLEDs out there. Samsung has one. There's some other ones. But you need
a lot of horsepower to run that.
You need at least a 4090 to run at the max resolution with full screen. So I think 144 hertz is fine for most people. And I think most, like, if you're a serious FPS gamer, this isn't a monitor that you're going to consider for serious play unless you're playing in the center anyways. So like I said, I really, really like I really like this monitor. Check out the review. Old man in the chat says you need another one to stack on top. I don't think, because one, the camera's here, so I don't know how we would do the camera would have to be on the side or something. And two, it's a clean look. Like I feel like if I put another monitor up top, this would just be like a big. I don't know. And like, in all honesty, I don't know what I would put up there, because this is more than enough space for me, I think. Yeah. Because I had thought about it for a while, but then I was like, it's just going to be a waste of money. And what would I put on this top? Like, what would you put on this top screens?
I mean, like right now, like this main window is just the podcast going, right? And then up above, I've prepped for like the stream later. So I've got a Twitch window. I always have IQ open. I've got Discord, Spotify. I've got Task Manager open. I've got Wavelink, right? Like all those accessories.
Yeah. I
guess. But you could have them on the sides, right? You could set up your display so it's like you've got your main thing in the middle and then put that stuff on the sides.
Yeah. So. And like most of that stuff, like I have Discord open, but it's like minimized right now. I don't need it open. And like, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, maybe I have the old 49-inch, but I think I'm going to give it to a buddy. Cause I'm because I kept it for a little bit. Cause I was like, okay, if I have any issues with this OLED,
and you don't
but no, I'm definitely keeping this. This thing's awesome. So
nice.
Like I said, guys, check that review out. We'll move on from that to this, which I have right here. Hopefully I don't unplug it. This keyboard, which is the MelGeek Made 68 Pro. So they already came out with a Made 68. This is the Pro version, which is their gaming centric version. Let me bring up the review here so you guys can take a look. But it is a magnetic key rapid trigger. It has all of the magnetic key features that are getting extremely popular. You've heard about them with the Razer keyboard. This keyboard has all of them, which we'll go into. Now, this is a 68 key keyboard. It is wired because you need that wired connection to get 8,000 hertz for the super fast response times and everything like that. Now, there are different colorways. Let me actually bring up, because it's on Kickstarter right now. Let me bring that up so we can see the different colorways.
Yours almost looks like it has like a rainbow type bar on the
top.
Okay.
It does. So let's bring this up. So here's the different colorways. They're basically elements. They're supposed to be elements. So like I have air, which is the white one here, and it has
that's cool.
Supposed to be clouds. I believe this one's water. This one's fire. I don't know what that one is.
Earth, maybe?
Yeah, earth. I forget. But those are the different. There's 4 different colorways that are available. Let me see if they have any more stuff. Oh, they already passed their goal, which is good. This just launched.
28 days to go. Wow.
Yeah, just launched on Kickstarter. But yeah, I've been using this for the past, I would say, 2 weeks now. And it is such a fast and awesome keyboard. So it's 68 key, 65% keyboard. So the big difference between 60 and 65 is that you do get this little extra section over here of keys. Obviously no function row. And this is a compact 65, where a lot of times on a 65 and a 75, you have an exploded one where there's a little bit of spacing between your arrow keys and this little section over here. This, it's compact and down like that. Like I said, I have the air version of the keyboard. So this is supposed to be clouds on the side, and this is actually metal. The casing itself is plastic, but this is metal here on the side. And then there's also this see-through that does have clouds on it as well. I'll show you it lit up because it looks better because there's a light bar there. ABS keycaps, kind of sad about that. No double shot PVT. They are double shot ABS, but they are ABS keycaps. Underneath, we have magnetic switches. Now, on our sample, this was like a pre-release sample. We just got Gateron magnetic white switches. On the actual retail sample, the ones you'll get on Kickstarter, it's going to be the TTC Magneto switch, which is a much better switch altogether, and you can see the differences in latency and everything like that. I was kind of bummed that I didn't get the better switch and everything, especially because we did a typing test.
Latency difference is huge.
Yeah, crazy latency difference and all that. But like we did a typing test, and it kind of doesn't matter for the review because you're not going to get that same sound from a different switch. Keyboard's pretty plain. There is no height adjustment. It sits at a good height. I didn't find any issues with that. And it does have the aluminum top plate. So you can kind of see it back here, but it does have that aluminum top plate. It feels really good. It is decently heavy. I did mention it is wired. It is Type-C. It comes with a cable. The cable's just black though. I really think they missed, like, this is an all white keyboard. I would have liked a white cable with it. It just comes with a black cable. And this it has software. One thing that's really cool about MelGeek, they started doing this thing, and a couple other companies have done this as well, is like you can download the software, but you can also go to hive.melgeek.com and the software runs online. So then you can essentially change all your settings online. You don't need the software actually installed, which is really cool. But when it comes to a magnetic keyboard, there are a handful of features that sometimes you get, sometimes you don't. When it comes to magnetic keyboards, and we've reviewed magnetic keyboards in the past, that some of them have these features, some of them don't. This keyboard, as I'll talk about, has all of these features, which is kind of incredible considering the price, which we'll get into. So magnetic key switches, we talked about them before. I'll go over them really quickly. Basically, the keyboard knows how far down you're pressing the switch or how far down you can actuate the switch. It knows exactly where the switch is at all times. Whereas like a normal mechanical keyboard, it has to basically be actuated at a certain point, and certain mechanical switches have a different actuation point depending on the switch. This, with a magnetic keyboard, is that you can actually set the actuation point. So if you want to barely press the switch but still have it actuated, you can go ahead and set that. So wherever you want to set that actuation, you can do, and this keyboard does support that, which is awesome. So you have that. Then you also have dynamic keystroke. What dynamic keystroke does is that if I press the key down a tiny bit, it's one action. But if I press it down all the way, it can be a different action. And you could do up to 4 actions per.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And you could do it the action coming back up as well. So if the key is coming back up, it will do something else, which is really, really cool. So this keyboard has that as well. We also have Snap Tap, which is new. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about this. I'll actually bring up the Razer website because they explain it better than I probably can. And I had to go on the Razer website and kind of learn about what it was. Let's bring up Razer's website here.
Yeah, there's some pretty good videos on it. Like,
yeah, they have a pretty good explanation on their website because Razer was one of the first to implement this. And again, any magnetic keyboard can do this. It's up to the manufacturer to put it in the software. That's the problem. A lot of manufacturers don't put dynamic keystroke in the software. And essentially, you need dynamic keystroke for Snap Tap to even work. So basically, I'll read what's on the Razer website. It says, with a standard gaming keyboard, in any instance where 2 opposing directions are detected, no movement is registered. So if you're strafing, with your A and D, if you press them both at the same time, you as the character, you don't move, right? You have to press one, then the other, one, then the other. But with Snap Tap, in any instance where 2 opposing directions are detected, it will register the last input as the priority. So if you're, strafing back and forth really quickly, if you're doing it so quickly, sometimes you might press 2 at the same time, and you're going to get a lot of non-registers on a lot of keyboards. But with Snap Tap, that doesn't happen. So you guys who are watching the podcast, you can see this demonstration here, and you can see how fast you can strafe and you can move from enemy to enemy and things like that. That's the whole idea behind Snap Tap. And Old Man in the chat says Valve has banned Snap Tap. Yep. Dang.
Yep.
Well, yeah. So I guess you can't play it in Counter-Strike. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they've kind of banned it. It's so quick. It's very, very quick. This keyboard supports it. It's one of the few that support it because Razer, I don't know if Razer was actually the first, but they've gotten the most press for it, I would say, for it. But it is really cool. It's built in. You can actually see the function right here that they've built it in to it. It's, you just update I'd update the firmware for it to go in there, but it's in there. And again, you can this is all set with dynamic keystroke because as you can see, as we release things, other things get enabled, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's such a cool, like, magnetic keyboard is like, if you're a fast-paced FPS gamer, you want a magnetic keyboard because you can basically change everything down to the tiniest little bit. Whereas with a mechanical keyboard, it's all about the switch. And one of the biggest things with mechanical key switches too is you'll bottom out, and you'll have to wait till that key comes back up to press it again. With mechanical, you can just be pressing super, super hard, super fast, and every one of those keystrokes, as long as you have it set correctly, will register. So again, it allows you to be faster and quicker in those type of games, and I think that's the beauty of it. This keyboard does have lighting. It's not necessarily worth talking about because we don't have see-through legends or anything like that. you know.
I like that light bar on the front of it though. It's
Yeah, that's
cool,
the coolest
cool
thing.
look.
So the light bar lights up again the back side of the keyboard. It does give some illumination. Sadly, the light bar is not RGB. We have per key RGB lighting on the keys, but again, we have no see-through legends, but the light bar is just white. And I think it looks fine, at least for the white version of this keyboard. And I think with every version, like if you look at all the versions here, like they're going to get like this one's going to get blue, this one's going to get red, this one's going to get yellow. So I think that's I really wish it would have been RGB, to be honest, but it's not.
Yeah.
But do you know what Razer keyboard supports SnapTap?
It was one we just talked about it like 2 weeks ago.
I just want to see price. I didn't know the price of that one.
I'm trying to pull up their site here.
Okay, so it's their Huntsman V3 Pro, their Huntsman V3 Pro TKL. So the Mini is the closest one in in size, because the Mini is 65. So that's $179.99 for a 60%. So you don't even get your arrow keys, which you do get in this keyboard. Right now on Kickstarter, it's $99.
Seems pretty good.
For the keyboard. It has all the same, it has SnapTap, it has everything. It has really good switches. It has the software, it has everything. And it's right now on Kickstarter for $99. I think that's a good deal.
Yeah.
I think that's a good deal. They also have the one that's slightly larger. I don't know if it's, let's see. So the Mate 68. Okay, so the Mate 84, which is 84 key, bigger, right here is only 109.
Dang. And that's, you're getting a discount right now, it looks like, if you get it through the Kickstarter.
Yeah. So you're going to get it through the Kickstarter. But yeah, I just think for all the features that do work, I tested them. They do work. Everything works. And it's like, in general, for me, this keyboard just feels incredibly snappy. Like it just feels fast. And again, if you're an FPS gamer, that's what you want. Like I said, for this one, for $100, the only thing. Go ahead.
A lot of tweaking you could do to this, right? Like some of those key switches, like I know I've reviewed like keyboards that have like the speed switches, Cherry MX, like they're like silver, I think, right? And like you almost get two accidental touches sometimes. With this, you can tweak that to just, and you can, it's per key tweaking too, right?
So it's per key. So if you're like your A and D, you want like super sensitive, but then like your W, Q, and E, you want to be a different type of sensitivity. You can really, it's crazy the amount of customization. And again, I'm not a crazy like insane gamer by any means, but somebody who is, or who wants, maybe you want to try something a little bit different. Maybe you're feeling like you are accidentally pressing, okay, let me change that actuation point a little bit. Maybe I'll get a little bit better. Like it's really cool. And again, for $100, I think the price is great on the Kickstarter. It will be more expensive after, but there's 28 days left. We have the Kickstarter linked in the review. But yeah, there's 28 days left, and I think all the tiers are still open. Like the $99 tiers, like all the tiers are still open, which is kind of crazy that they didn't like limit these per se. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it looks like delivery is pretty soon, October of this year.
Yeah, like they had 503 backers on the 68 Pro. And like typically those are like limited to like a limited run, but I don't know how many, if there is, but it's cool that, so yeah, I just think it's an awesome keyboard. So check out our review again, linked in the show notes. The link for the Kickstarter is in there if you want to check it out. Just super cool. And it's awesome how the little minute, like how just in depth you can get with it, I think is super cool. Especially if you're somebody who wants to mess with that. Our last review, because we're already, it's going to be a long time.
We're running long.
Yeah. So the last review, we'll go really quickly. It's the Crucial P310. This is an M.2 2230, specifically designed for your gaming consoles or your handheld gaming consoles, ROG Ally, Steam Deck, the new ones, a couple of the new ones that we're going to be talking about that were officially announced this past week as well. Super small. As far as performance, this is going to be 7,100 megabytes a second read, 6,000 megabytes a second write. In my testing, it performed right up to the specifications. Not the fastest M.2, but it's tiny. And again, the biggest problem with a lot of the gaming handhelds is that low-end SKU, the least expensive SKU, has a 512 megabytes or 512 gigabytes SSD in there. Once you get that Windows installed, and like, what was like the new Call of Duty was like 300 and some gigs.
Yeah, it fills up super fast.
So one of the biggest upgrades you can do to the gaming handhelds is adding more storage. Now, this is only available up to 2 terabytes, but if you're somebody who has like the 512 gig version, you're getting so much more storage. And a lot of those gaming handhelds, while they do support like a Gen 4 NVMe SSD, a lot of the Gen 4 NVMe SSDs that are in there are only going to be around 5,000 megabytes a second. This is going to be, again, for reads, which you're mostly going to be doing reads on a device like that, 7,100 megabytes a second. So that's going to shave off some seconds as far as loading times and things like that. So I think it's a great drive. We reviewed the 2 terabytes, which is $204.99. I think it's a good deal. I gave it a 9 out of 10 and recommended award. I also gave the keyboard a 9 out of 10 and recommended award as well. So a lot of recommended awards getting thrown out this week. And again, the monitor is awesome as well. So 3 really, really awesome products that I would definitely recommend for you guys, depending on, again, which one you may be using. So we'll move on from there and we'll go to Case Mod Friday. I wanted to feature both of these because one is the same case that Ryan has, and the first one is it's Helldiver themed, and it's from Mods by Ben, and he's one of my friends, and
awesome work. Yep.
He crushed this. So the first one is called Autocannon. If you played Helldivers 2, you know that this is the Autocannon backpack that you get if you choose that gun when you're playing. And this looks pretty much exactly like it, except for, of course, the graphics card that's there. So this is just such a cool build. Crushed it as far as design. It just looks awesome. And then on the opposite side, he has the motherboard. Again, this is MSI theme. So you have that expert card, you have their AIO, you have their motherboard, and then you have Corsair memory. And again, all the yellow color to match the sort of Helldivers and to match these. And somebody in the comments on, I think on TikTok, when I posted this, they said that they thought these were SSDs that you could pull in and out.
Would have been cool if they were like, hot swap drives.
Yeah. But yeah, great work by Mods by Ben. So shout out to him for this one. And then the second one is in the same case that Ryan has. And
I thought this was in the 928.
Oh, yours is what, the 925?
925, yep.
So yeah, this is the bigger one. This is the 928.
Correct.
So this one is called Vince. This one's by Lunker K9 Customs. This case is massive.
I meant to ask you about that. Every image I clicked on would just take me to the page.
Interesting. Well, I guess I'll have to fix that. So we can't. Let's see. Yep.
Well, you can open them in a new tab, maybe.
No, I just tried that. Interesting.
It is a good build, though.
Yeah. So this one, I wish I could show you the back. Let me see. Hold on a second. I got to show the back because the back has the. Wait, do I have? Yeah, the back has the really good. Cable management. Yeah. Let's see.
And I'm jealous because the power supply on that case on the 928 is behind the motherboard tray, and you don't have like the shroud at the bottom, so you have a little extra room there, which I really like in the 928.
So here's the back. Great cable management. It looks great. And again, the back is see-through because there's no glass panel on here, but there is I believe a glass panel that does go.
It's not on there right now, but it's just a glass panel.
And then let's get a shot of the inside here. So that's what the inside, just super clean, nothing crazy. I do like the gold though on this EK block, looks awesome. And then you have the gold fittings here, and then like the matching gold accents on the cable combs and everything. I just think it looks awesome. And again, all of this is like covered to like, there's only a little bit of opening, so it just gives a really great look to it. Fantex fans too on it, so it looks really, really good. Yeah,
those aren't the okay.
Yeah, those are Fantex fans. So yeah, really awesome build here from Lunker K9 Customs. Yeah, I'm not sure why that did that on the new website.
I was looking at it the other day and I was like, oh, I forgot to mention it to you.
Yeah, I'll try to get that fixed. So we'll move on to news. And again, we'll try to go through this semi quickly, but there is a lot to talk about. So first thing, so we had, was it 2 years ago, Intel deciding to get into the GPU market. They have done a little bit, but obviously they're nowhere near competing with AMD or NVIDIA as far as like mid-range to high end. On the lower end, the ARC graphics cards are okay, but again, for a lot of consumers, I just think there's no proven track record or like support per se that they would want to choose that over an AMD or an NVIDIA. Now it looks like ARM could be coming in to the GPU market as well. What do you think?
I'll take it. Like we always say that competition is good for the consumer, right? And we've just had a two-player game for quite a while. Player 3 entered the game a while back with Intel, but like you said, there's just not that, I don't know, confidence level and performance from them just yet. So I'm all for another, company venturing in. If anybody could do it, I think ARM is probably capable of doing it. Maybe like a Qualcomm or something as well. But yeah, no, that's exciting.
Yeah, and I just think that, I mean, we have just seen too, like on the CPU side, like Intel's the big dog, but like look at all the issues they're having, and it's like,
yeah, you have one screw up, and then like, oh, it's a one-player game now.
Yeah, and again, as we talk about in it, as AMD or as NVIDIA makes more and more money with AI, how much are they going to care about the gamer? As time
That's
goes
true.
on.
They could just decide to stop.
Well, I don't think they'll stop, but like I just things could. There's just not going to be as much excitement around the product. It's just like it could turn into the Intel of 10 years ago, where it's like, yep, we're on quad core forever. We're never upgrading.
No innovation.
Yeah. So obviously bringing in somebody else that leads to the innovation, just like what we saw with Intel, and then AMD came in with Ryzen, and then we saw tons of cores and all this stuff. So it's good. No details on when it's gonna anything. Just like the whole Intel thing that happened a couple of years ago, it's gonna take a while, but it's good to see that maybe somebody else is jumping in, and we'll obviously keep you guys updated on all of that. Now, talking about graphics cards, we did get some leaks on Radeon RX 8000 series. So first one, a graphics card popped up here, and it popped up on benchmarks, and it is 56 compute units, base clock of 2.1 gigahertz. The graphics card did have 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM, faster 8 gigabit per second memory speed, and it just showed up in a benchmark with an OpenCL score of 33,241. This probably isn't the high-end card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially with only 16 gigs.
16 gigs, 250.
We've seen AMD be pretty like stuffing their cards with video memory.
Yeah, but the fact that it's out there, and again, we're getting closer to what you would think would be end of year. We're not going to see any new cards, but CES,
sure,
beginning of January. So some things are out there. Some things are getting tested a little bit. This kind of leaks out. So cool to see that. We also have some leaks on other VRAM, what they may be, from known leakers on X or Twitter. So up to 20 gigabits per second GDDR6 on RX 8000 series. So this is the memory interface, a 256-bit memory interface, 20 gigabits per second memory. Another card that's going to be 256 256 gigabit, 256-bit wide memory interface, 18 gigabits per second. That's probably the card that was in the previous story. And then we have 192-bit memory interface and 19 gigabit per second. So as you know, it looks like we'll have at least 3 cards in the sort of mid-range, probably mid to high range right there. So interesting to see. We're still decently far off from any of this stuff, so we will keep you guys updated, but it's good to see it. It's good to see, you know, new cards come out, and again, we'll see the same thing on the NVIDIA side as we go forward. Talking about on the NVIDIA side, it was the 20th anniversary of WoW.
Yeah,
dude, we are old, man.
I know.
20th anniversary of WoW. MSI put out a limited edition GeForce RTX 4070 Super Gaming Slim that looks like this. You had this question, I had the same question. So here's what the card looks like normally. So pretty nice colorway, actually, with like the dark blue and the gold.
Yeah, looks good.
It looks great. It says like the 20 with the Warcraft
with
logo.
The fans. Yep.
Yeah. And then that's what like the back looks like normally. Then they have these like custom back plates, but like as you said, so here's like the back plates with like the Warcraft, but like wouldn't that cover up the pass-through cooling?
Right. It's going to kill off any of that airflow through there. And then what's the other cutout for? I guess it'll show the Warcraft 20 logo, right? Because that cutout in each of those back plates will show that off. It's not for the back of your GPU. It's not for the airflow. So I don't get that. I would have rather just seen a generic WoW design on the back plate and leave it at that, right? Because you can only use one at a time. What are you going to do? Swap them out all the time? I mean, maybe.
I don't know if these are like, if you get all of these in it.
Or I don't know. I would. Who knows? I don't know. I do like this, so because that's a big game, right? To last 20 years and still be out there.
Yeah, wow, that's so dumb.
I wonder if it like raises it up a little bit, so if there's some like little bit of a gap, so that you can still have some airflow, but it's not going to be as good as just being open.
Yeah. In all honesty, like I really like this. Like I think the blue, you don't see a whole lot of like this blue color with the gold. I think it looks great.
So, yeah, what was that? I gotta look into this because that box reminded me of buying the collector's editions back in the day of WoW.
Yeah.
Well, what it says collector's edition. I didn't think they made collector's edition anymore.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but pretty cool from MSI. Good to see like we saw a couple other theme graphics cards this past week as well. Not going to cover them on the podcast, but we do have articles on the site about those. Also announced this past week a new bundle for NVIDIA graphics cards. So if you buy an NVIDIA graphics card, you get a game. That game is going to be Star Wars Outlaws. And this includes 4090, 4080 Super, 4080, 4070 Ti Super, 4070 Ti, 4070 Super, 4070, and then desktops and laptops with 4090, 4080 laptop GPUs, 4070. So 4060s, guess you don't get it. Sorry, guys. But you get Star Wars Outlaws. So again, we don't see these bundles as much anymore, but it's nice to see. And this game comes out August 30th. So if you buy one of these cards, you will get this when it's released on August 30th. You'll get a game code for it. So pretty cool. So nice from NVIDIA to do that. And now to gaming handhelds. So both of these gaming handhelds we've talked about already. They were officially made official at Gamescom this past week. First one is the Antec Core HS, which is pretty affordable, $499. I like the white version. I think it looks better.
I feel like that thing's just gonna get dirty.
Just like my camera gonna get dirty.
I know. I don't know. I think you should go with black, but that's all
right. Yeah. So Core HS, which is it's not made by Antec. It's made by, was it Annie Neo or one of the gaming handheld that we always talk about. This is the Ryzen 7 7840U. I do like this screen though that kind of pops up a little bit. You do get kind of a keyboard if you actually needed to like type per se. Even though you're probably going to do mostly gaming on this, but again, these are Windows based products.
Yep.
Like it's a Windows PC, so it's kind of nice to have the little keyboard. It reminds me of like
the Sidekick.
Sidekick, but obviously much bigger. You can see the big fan there. Yeah, like I said, this one's not bad. Prices start at $499, depending on storage and things like that. Prices will fluctuate. So that's the first one. Interesting to see Antec do it, and the next one's kind of interesting as well. So we talked about it. They showed it at Computex. They made it official again at Gamescom. It's the Zotac Zone, and I believe prices here start at $849. So this one's going to be more expensive. It is much bigger, and one of the cool things about the Zone is that it has dual M.2 slots.
Oh, nice.
And they're full size too. They're not 2230s.
You can put quite a bit of storage in there.
Yeah. So this has the AMOLED display. We talked about this when it was shown at Computex, but this one did come out as well. It does seem like Zotac spent obviously more time sort of designing this, whereas the Antec one's sort of like an OEM from another company. But now we have like tons. Like I don't have enough fingers for how many gaming handhelds we have available from pretty well-known companies. So it's good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's just the ones that we know about, right? From the larger companies. I'm sure there's a lot of other
there's tons
smaller companies, trying to get it in the game.
Yeah, so that was announced at Gamescom here as well. Then we have an interesting leak for Threadripper. Haven't heard a lot about Threadripper all that much lately. Threadripper 9000, and all I think about is the Dragon Ball Z above 9000.
It's over 9000.
Yeah. So Threadripper 9000, Shimada Peak is the code name. 96 core Zen 5. I want all the cores. All the cores.
This will give it to you. 192 threads. God.
Yeah, man, dude, get all the threads, all the cores. Supposed to come out in 2025. We probably won't hear much of it, but it did peek out in this little description of goods right here. It says, I don't know how people find these, but yeah. It says 96 core, Shimada Peak 12. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Threadripper's been great. We haven't heard all that much. We don't necessarily cover it all that much. And I think for most, pretty much everybody, you're not going to use a Threadripper for a gaming system or any of the things that we really do. But it's awesome to see processors with that many cores. And again, if you are somebody who's doing highly threaded workloads, it's kind of the step between the Epic,
Right. Yeah, real server hardware and
so awesome to see. And again, you're getting the new architecture, you're getting Zen 5. They say it's expected to have 15 to 30% increase in IPC. Will support DDR5 and PCI Express 5.
And usually get more memory channels, right, with that.
Yep.
So these are just awesome. I've only built one system with a Threadripper CPU.
I've never built one with a Threadripper. So, and it's just like, it's bigger. It just feels like you have like so much more power. But for myself included and you as well, Ryan, like we don't need all this, but it's just awesome.
No.
It's awesome.
I mean, I can find a use for it, but no, it's not a daily driver for me by any means.
Yeah. So really cool to see. Won't see it probably until 2025. Maybe we'll see it at CES in January. See something about it. Who knows?
Yeah, early versions.
Yeah. So Intel. I've been talking about Intel. Intel is having issues. Obviously not meeting expectations. Stock price is going down. Well, two more bad stories that came out last week, but we didn't have the podcast, so we'll talk about them really quickly. First, they were going to do a AI chip alliance with SoftBank. SoftBank actually pulled out because I assume because all the bad Intel press, they pulled out of that deal. I think they're going to go with TSMC on that AI chip deal, which is a big blow again to Intel. Doesn't look good PR wise. And again, that was probably a lot of money for that sort of AI chip collaboration. So that is bad news. And then the second story here is that Intel is cutting their marketing budget by 35%. Could cut more jobs, and certain programs could be cut as well. This stuff has to happen, obviously, because they're trying to save money.
Sure.
I just don't. What do you think Intel's going to do?
I mean, what I feel like they should do is like get back to that core, like, what do I want to say? Shrink back down to like just a core set of products and like focus on that, just rebuild and then like work from there. Not that they've like gotten so wide that they're just out of control, but yeah, I feel like maybe that's a strategy they can take, and they don't need this large of a company to go back to the bread and butter and work from there, I guess. Are my thoughts.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see this because I didn't necessarily see this happening, because I still thought like they're they still have the market share. But the bad press, and I think on the enthusiast side, you see AMD kind of doing a little bit more things with enthusiasts. But again, that's not a big necessarily part of their business. Like their consumer processor sales are not massive compared to the rest of their business. But yeah, I mean, it's just I think gamers and enthusiasts have bad taste in their mouth with the 13th and 14th gen stuff, and then all the other security issues and some other things. Definitely a lot of restructuring going on. It will be really interesting to see what happens with Intel over the next 6 to 8 months and kind of see where we go from there. Like you said the last podcast, like Intel's not going anywhere. They're a massive
I was
company.
just about to say that. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. Like, this isn't financial advice, and we're not a financial podcast or anything, but like I feel like now is probably a pretty decent time to get some Intel stock. Like, yeah, it's at $19 and something. Like, yeah, I don't know, spend $100 and make a little bit of money in 6 months. Like
Ryan said, this is not financial advice.
No, not at all.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see. I think they have a lot, though. They have like a year to get it together. There's a lot of pressure on the CEO to really restructure and get things kind of moving again. But they do have to cut a lot of stuff that's not making money, that's not there yet. It'd be interesting to see what happens with ARC as well and XE graphics. Could that get cut? Because I can't imagine it's that profitable right now.
Shinny's Tabletop Adventures says this is the financial advice podcast. No,
not at all. Also, Old Man said YouTube just sent a notification that they're live. Yeah, I always feel like it comes out like an hour later, and like typically this podcast is an hour, and then the YouTube notification goes out, and people are like, "Oh, I missed it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I wish it would go out." I don't know how that works or how they do that, but yeah. So that is
on a live show.
Yeah, that is the Intel news. Also, Asus did put out some really. There's actually a lot of cool stuff announced at Gamescom. We're not covering it all, but one of the things was that Asus did put out Wi-Fi 7. New ROG Wi-Fi 7 devices, the one that you can see right here, which is essentially the ROG version of the router that I reviewed. Was it last week or the week before? This thing is insane. Wi-Fi 7. It is also BE 19,000, super fast. But the cool thing is, it's like they also put out the ROG USB BE 92, which is just say you get that router, you have a Wi-Fi 7 router, but like you have a laptop that can't take advantage of it, you can get the USB Wi-Fi 7, which is a tri-band USB adapter, super fast. So you have that, and they also announced some other Wi-Fi 7 routers as well in the mix here. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. Wi-Fi 7. I talked about it on our last podcast about Wi-Fi 7, why it's faster. I learned a lot doing that review of that router. So really cool stuff from Asus. And again, this is the new flagship ROG Wi-Fi 7 tri-band router.
It's got a window.
I know, right? Yeah. So yeah, pretty cool to see that stuff. And one other thing that I thought was super cool, I'm not into it, but Starforge Systems, which is a system builder, they put out a limited edition. I don't know if I'm saying this right, because again, I don't know it. Firen? Is that how you say it?
Firen, I think.
Firen. Really cool pre-built that's like based around this anime. And I think it's actually really, really good job. Typically, when it comes to pre-builts, are like you don't see this all on the glass. Like it's not typically like this.
Yeah, it gives it depth. Like I do like it. I agree.
Yeah, so you get all of this stuff that comes together. You get the whole system built that has all of this. You can also get desk mats that match it as well. All in like even like wall art and all that kind of stuff. And the system, I have to say, it does look good. Like this does look good.
Especially with that screen back there, right?
Yeah.
If you could add some animation, like some motion to that screen that fits that, anime or whatever, that would be sweet.
Yeah, and then like this, the other side.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
So around like this, like we talk about like some of the NZXT customs, but like this is like really, really well done for a pre-built. I just think it looks awesome. Super, super cool. So we have links to that. The PC is basically $2,200. AMD it's an XFX RX 7800 XT in white, Intel Core i5 13600KF, 32 gigabytes of DDR5, Lee O11 Evo RGB. It looks like it has probably a 360 millimeter AIO in there as well. I don't know what storage is, but probably at least a terabyte too. Again, all custom built. Probably 850 watt power supply in there too, I'm guessing. But you can just get the case too. The case is $400, and it's going to be again all custom like this.
See, this is the kind of look that I want for like a WoW case. And you put that 20-year card in there, and like I think that could look amazing as well.
Yeah, I think but yeah, this is a really well done custom PC. So we have links if you want to pick any of that stuff up. But pretty cool. I thought it was really, really cool. But yeah, so from there, coming up next week. So one of the products I have on my head, if you didn't notice, a new ROG headset. So this is their new flagship wireless headset. This is their ROG Delta 2. It just came out. I'm actually using it for like the first time today. So it sounds pretty good so far. Obviously give you the in-depth review next week, but excited to test everything out. And it has a lot of really cool features. Tri-mode too. So you can use it 2.4 gigahertz Bluetooth and 3.5 millimeters, and I believe simultaneously as well. So you can like be on a call, still have your other stuff. Like there's it's pretty cool. There's a lot of different features with this. So so that's, and then finally taking a look at the big dog, the Noctua NH-D15 G2. Finally the follow-up. I don't know why their webpage is taking forever to load, but finally the follow-up to the legendary Noctua NH-D15. I'll be testing this over the next few days, and I'll tell you guys all about it. But it's huge. It's a massive CPU cooler.
Is that what you were taking a picture of and posted on Facebook?
I did. Yes, that was it. Yeah, so that's it. So, so yeah, stay tuned for that next week as well. And then our question of the week, because apparently kids went back to school this week. Obviously, Ryan and I are way past.
maybe in California, it might have been. This is like week 3.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I don't know these things, but kids
Yeah.
went back to school recently,
Yep.
and we want to talk about the question of the week is, what are some great back to school tech items? Like, what do you think are great back to school tech items?
So my kids, like everybody gets like that. Not everybody, but like a lot of schools, and depending on the age, they're getting like Chromebooks and stuff in school a lot of times. So a good set of headphones that's sturdy, but not super expensive. So there's all sorts of them, and they make them for kids. But one that came in handy today is my son now has a Chromebook that he brings home, and they're supposed to leave the charger for it at home because when you're at the desk, you don't have power at the desk. It'd just be a mess in the classroom with 20 power supplies for all these Chromebooks. So they want you to bring them home and charge them overnight, and then you just toss it in your backpack and take it to school. Well, he hasn't charged it for the last couple days, and he was like, oh shoot, I forgot to charge it. And he's getting ready to go to school this morning, and I was like, well, what's it at? And he said, I don't know, but it told me it was going into low power mode and this. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So we threw it on the charger, but I had a battery bank, like one of them about the size of a cell phone. I don't have it here. Anyways, so I told him, hey, like, this is a Type-C connector, just like your power supply. When you're on the bus or you're at school, just unplug this, plug it into your Chromebook, and let it charge it up there, right? So I was like, that was going to come in handy pretty well there, right? So maybe a battery bank for those times when your kid forgets to charge their Chromebook, and they can just do it on the way to school or while they're using it. So
yeah, I was thinking sort of the same thing. I was thinking one, so if your device or their device is MagSafe, one of the ones that just goes on, so you don't have to worry about cables or anything like that. I think that would be something that's going to be really good for kids. It's just goes on there. They don't have, if they forgot their cable, it doesn't matter. They just goes on. But again, their device has to support it. Yep. Like you said, just a battery bank in general. For any of their devices, whether it's their phone, they can charge like if they have a set of earbuds, they can charge their earbuds up. They can do all that stuff with. I think that's probably the best thing for kids would be the battery bank. I think that's probably the best thing.
I thought I brought it back down because the one that I have, and you have it as well, is that Lenovo, and so it's pretty compact. It's about the size of your cell phone, but it's got a Type-C connection. And then it also has a Type-A connection that you can hook a cable to. And then it also does wireless. So you can be charging 3 things at a time off of that battery bank.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good one. It's not too expensive.
I'm trying to think if like there's anything else. I think also like AirTag, or there's like the Cubes or any of those type of devices. Because like I lose things, so kids obviously lose things. So like for their keys or for whatever they need, put one on their backpack. I think that's good stuff to get. Yeah, like did you buy your kids anything for back to school tech wise?
No, because I knew they'll be getting the Chromebook through school, so we don't have to buy that. He had his headphones from last year that worked fine. No, and he's at the age where he's in 5th grade. Like doesn't have a phone yet, so I don't have to worry about that. It's not like he can listen to, I'm not letting him bring his iPad on the bus to like do anything. So not yet. I'm sure like college age and high school age, it's totally different, right? You're talking AirPods, and Bluetooth headsets and watches, right? Like all of those types of things. But for my age of kids, no, not yet.
Yeah, I would say that get a good, reliable battery bank, 10,000 milliamp hours.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah, I think 10,000 milliamp hours. I think is the perfect size. It's like most of the ones that are that capacity, or they can fit in a pocket. They're like the size of a cell phone, and like just like the Lenovo one has the built-in cable built into it.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about finding a cable or anything like that either. So, Old Man in the chat says he's been buying wireless mechanical keyboards. I'd say they'd be a great accessory for a school laptop. I think it would be good, but not like in the classroom clacking away on a mechanical. I don't know how how people would feel about that. But yeah, for at home, I think having a great mechanical keyboard, I would have loved a mechanical keyboard back in the day.
Sure.
But anything else tech related?
Yeah. So this last weekend, the Blue Angels were in town. And what stinks is it stormed. So I went on Saturday and it was like 102 degrees out with heat index of like 109. It was terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't sound
Sunday,
good.
it ended up, we had like this rainstorm come through and there was actually like a microburst at the airbase. And they had to cancel the show because porta potties got blown over and blown across the
Imagine if you were
field.
in one.
There was an airplane that flipped over.
That's crazy.
And one of the planes like blew into a car. I mean, it was a mess. None of the like jets because they're heavy enough. But anyway, so that happened. So I'm glad I went Saturday. But on Saturday, I had my Insta360 X3, which is a 360 camera, and I had it on the tripod that you can buy for it. And it's just like a small base at the bottom and then a pole that goes up and you put the camera on it. There was a little bit of a breeze. There was enough of a breeze, caught the camera, knocked it over, and just smacked right down on the concrete on that front lens and just shattered it and ground it up. And I was like so mad at myself for letting that happen. Thankfully, though, last year, when I bought the kids their iPads for their birthdays, I went ahead and got the Best Buy Total plan, I think is what it's called, right? So I paid $180 for a full year of protection because I was like, okay, I'm getting these kids iPads, or $1,000 almost worth of gear. Yes, they're kids. I want to have that protection. So those were covered. And then, later on in the year, I bought my my cell phone, my Pixel 8 Pro at Best Buy. Well, that's automatically covered by that plan. Doesn't cost me anymore. I bought a photo scanner. That's covered by it. And I happened to buy my X3 at Best Buy. So that was covered under it. I walked into Best Buy on Sunday, the day after I cracked it, and walked out of there with a brand new X3 camera without paying any extra. So
that's pretty legit.
That was pretty awesome, right? I mean, yes, I paid $180 for it technically because that's the only thing I've used it for, but I've had protection on all these things, and it was that simple, right? Otherwise, if I wouldn't have had that, I could send the camera into Insta360, but it's around $120 to get it replaced, and really they just swap out your camera anyways, from what I've heard. So yeah, that $180 was worth it. I think I'll probably renew it again.
I mean, I think especially since you have kids, I think but it is like when you order things from Amazon, you don't realize how, again, we talk about like retail going away, but like when my 13900K died, I just went to Best Buy and I got I just went to Best Buy and I just bought a processor there because I needed it that day to do testing.
Right.
And again, I do think retail is still going away, but I think Best Buy has kind of navigated it a little bit better because again, you need things that day, and I think like that type of replacement plan, you can do that on like Amazon. You can get the extended warranties, but it's like you have to send it back, and you're like at least 2 days, if not a week, before you get your product back. Where it's like Best Buy, if you have one by you, which I assume most people do, if you're in the United States, like in and out.
It was no hassle. Like it was
no
big deal. It was well worth it. So yeah, I'll probably keep it for another year or so, that plan. And it makes me think now, like getting things from Best Buy is in my best interest electronics wise, right? For the next year.
If you're spending a lot of money on electronics.
Yeah, might as well. So
I spent a lot of money on electronics. I got a new
you got a new camera.
I got a new camera. So, well, this is the lens I've had, but I got the Sony ZV-E10 II. Been sort of wanting to upgrade the camera that I shoot all the content that you guys see here. And this just came out. And it's not as much as like, it's crazy, so much better than my previous camera as far as quality. It's slightly better, but not insanely better. But I had a Sony a6300. It was like one of the first 4K Sony cameras, and it just had issues. One, the batteries would like drain so quickly, so quickly. It would overheat. If I hooked a monitor up to it, because I wish I had it sitting over there, but like this, the screen pops out and you can, I can see myself when I'm recording. But with the old one, it didn't. So that I had bought a monitor, you know, you put it on top of the camera. But if you had something connected out via HDMI, it turned off the eye autofocus on the camera. So on some of the YouTube videos, ThinkComputers videos, you can see where I go out of focus a little bit. It's yeah. So
wild.
This doesn't have any of those problems. This has all the newer features. It has the bigger battery. It shoots in 10-bit 422. If you're a camera person, you know what that means. I can also do 4K 60. Probably not going to use that much, but it has all the awesome features. And I got it in white. Ryan thinks it's going to get super dirty, but it probably will. But hopefully we'll try to keep it clean. But yeah, super pumped. I shot so the Noctua. I shot all the B-roll. We'll be doing a YouTube video on that. So I shot all that today with this. So you guys, that will be the first video on the channel that's shot with this. So really pumped when I got it. Spent all day yesterday configuring everything, and I'll be using that going forward for both photo and video. So yeah, that was my tech purchase. But that is essentially it for the podcast, guys. Corey's in the chat. He probably got the notification late too, because he's usually in here early.
Yeah, possibly.
So good to see you in here as well, Corey. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing some gaming. We didn't game last week. I didn't game the week before. I didn't game.
Yeah. No.
So it's been a while. I get to use the keyboard that we talked about. I get to use the headsets. I get to use all this fun stuff. Real quick, too, Old Man in the chat says Prime Gaming is giving away Lego Lord of the Rings, Shadow of Mordor, Tomb Raider, holy crap. Nice.
A whole list of games, yeah.
Yeah, a whole list of games. So yeah, check that out. Prime Gaming. Thanks, Old Man, for that tip. But we're going to be gaming over on Twitch. Of course, we do play Apex Legends. That's twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Ryan is going to go ahead and have that stream up. So head on over there. This stream's going to end. Go over there. Hang out with us. Maybe we'll do good because I got this cheating snap tap feature. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll see you guys over there. Thanks everybody for coming out, and we will see everybody next week.